Hello and welcome to another episode of Bharatvaarta. This time we are talking about the India Premier League, much awaited. The first one post COVID. We've had two seasons in difficult circumstances. And with me, I have our regular guest, Abhishek Paul, also Mahek Vyas and Rajesh Tiwary. Let's get started. So first of all, I think this is quite an interesting year. We've had two new teams, Gujarat Titans and Lucknow Super Giants. A lot of money was spent on those. And second thing is, with two new teams, a 10-team IPL, we've also had the new auctions. A lot of the teams are, while they retained four players each, a lot of the teams have very much newer looks, and which makes it kind of interesting. A few newer faces. So one of them is the much hyped Tim David from Singapore, where I'm from. So and also we had the Under-19 World Cup, and like there are a few of those young stars, some few uncapped players who could be interesting to watch if they get the games. So moving on. Uh, uh, so before we go on to the teams, I don't know, Abhishek, Rajesh, and Mahek. Just a few things like what are you looking forward to? Which team are you supporting? What is something special or different this IPL?
So I'll start off with just a couple of thoughts I have. So one is with two new teams, I think I feel like the quality of the playing 11s has got slightly diluted, especially because there is no infinite number of quality players, and I think each team is slightly going to struggle, especially in the Indian when it comes to Indian batting, right? Batting strength, and I think the middle orders do not look particularly strong in terms of, let's say, the numbers 4 to 7, right? And so that's something to watch out for. The other interesting thing is that the matches are going to be held, I think, in four specific venues only. So how those pitches perform, how because some of these grounds haven't been holding matches or international or T20 matches of late, like let's say Brabon, which is having a match after I think 7 8 6 7 years, or even Pune after 3 4 years. So it will be interesting to see how it plays out there. Rajesh?
Rajesh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also looking forward to the 10-team competition. Of course, I don't think that the quality has been diluted. I think a lot of quality players were not getting regular games. When we had the 8-team IPL, I think most of the players we want to watch, we will get to watch this time around. Like for example, say somebody like Kane Williamson. 3 years ago, he wasn't was struggling to get a game in IPL. I don't think that will happen a lot. All the major international players, India players, obviously they always get a chance to represent, but overseas players as well, they will get a chance to represent. Uh, because of bubble fatigue, I think, and international calendar, some players have withdrawn. So maybe it will take another iteration of this 10-team IPL to really have the team cement the kind of 11s they want to field. The other thing that I've noticed is how the teams have been drawn into groups and how they will play against each other. I think that is going to be an interesting conversation going forward. I think there'll be fans who will talk about whether their team was unlucky to be part of a certain group, because I think
We've lost Rajesh there.
Maybe
Sorry,
Rajesh, we lost you for about 10-15 seconds. Could you repeat?
Did we? Did you? Yeah. So I was talking about that the way the groups are drawn, and I was saying that at least in ICC tournaments they have a basis for dividing teams into groups. But here this seems really arbitrary, and depending on how the teams continue to show form, there'll be talks about some teams being luckier in terms of how they were drawn, right? Going forward again, with teams starting to organize themselves and better starting to separate themselves from the average teams. The way you draw the teams into groups would also be slightly better. So there will be some arbitrariness about how this tournament will be played with all new teams, all new squads, a lot of players, key international players missing, the new draws and everything. So yeah, it will. I would say this is almost like a pilot season, and there'll be a lot of interesting things to look forward to, and a lot of for people like us, a lot of things to discuss about. Yeah, Mahek, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So the point about the teams were divided into two groups, right? We had that format in 2011, and I think it's probably one of the most unmemorable seasons that that the IPL has had. So, and I mean, a lot of it was also because neither of the two new franchises were too competitive. Hopefully, that's not the case this time. But Rajesh, so on that, it wasn't arbitrary. They decided the groups based on the historical records of these of the
Right.
8 franchises.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I
with completely revamped teams, it may not make as much sense, but that's the
exactly.
best that they could have done.
Yeah, yeah.
What I'm most looking forward to this season is the Gujarat Titans jersey. Uh, if anyone wants to donate one, they're more than welcome to do so. Uh, so yeah,
I've already
that
asked for one, Mahek.
I I'm also trying to get one. So that on but jokes apart, I think what I'm most looking forward to is tracking the performances of players who are likely to be part of India's squad for the T20 World Cup. India has had a good run of results of late, albeit against some mediocre sides. But if India has to challenge for the title in Australia, think it'll be interesting to see how guys like Hardik Pandya, Virat Kohli, and some of the fringe bowlers like Shardul Thakur and Deepak Chahar perform this season, because the end of the day, Australian conditions are very different from Indian conditions, and India will need a genuine pace bowling all rounder if they can get one. Venkatesh Iyer for now is someone who's more of a batsman, and he might bowl an over or two, but he's not really someone you can count on to bowl 3 or 4 overs. So my lookout will be more from the point of view of the Indian team.
Sure. So like another thing, what I always like every IPL team or like the core, you have like 4 foreign players. You have like there's a set template. So in bowling, you have like one left arm quick, one right arm quick, uh, one more quick who's good at the death, one quick out of the 3 who's better at the starting overs. You have 2 spinners and 1 spin bowling all rounder, especially in India. So kind of like either a 3 spin bowler, 3 fast bowler, or like a 2-4. So one spinner who bowls very well in the middle orders tries to take wickets. One spinner who kind of keeps it. Usually this is a wrist spinner, leg spinner. One spinner who keeps it very tight and maybe bowls in the start of the innings, right? And one either like a part-timer who fills in for 2-3 overs if anybody's having an off day. Even in batting, you have usually like a top order batsman. One goes out all guns blazing, one plays the long innings. Middle order as well, you kind of alternate between power hitters. And then like number 6 and 7, or 5, 6, 7 is the engine room, which you see some power hitters. So basically based on these templates, right, we try and identify going through the teams. Also, like if you see in terms of like the way it is done, as like both Rajesh and Mahek mentioned, right? So there are 10 teams. There are 2 groups of 5. So every team plays in the same group, 4 teams twice, and from the other group 1 team twice. So like if you are, say, like Mumbai and Chennai are ranked 1, so they play each other. So 1 on each group. The seeding: Kolkata and Sunrisers Hyderabad in opposite groups, Rajasthan and RCB, and Delhi Capitals, Punjab Kings, and the 2 new entrants, Lucknow Super Giants and Gujarat Titans. So 5 teams you play twice, that's 10 games. 4 teams you play once, so 14. So while the season is longer, each team is playing the same number of games. Earlier was you played 7 teams twice, which was 14. So, but the season will be longer, obviously, because instead of you had 8 teams playing 14 games each, you have 10 teams playing 14 games each. So it's a longer season, will be interesting. As we said, like probably this is a trial one. And now if you go on to the teams, first one, obviously Chennai Super Kings. This is a team which I love to hate. I've been a Mumbai fan all along. If I start on like Chennai, I think one of the things is it reminds you of like a little bit of a dad's army. You've got guys like Dhoni, who is retired from international cricket a long time ago. While he's very fit, are his reflexes of power hitting as good? You have a couple of older all-rounders like Dwayne Bravo. Then you have Uthappa as a wicketkeeper batsman. That's why I'm calling him an all-rounder. You got Ambati Raidu, who's also retired from like international cricket. So that's one thing. You have some exciting younger players. One which I'd like to watch out is Hangar Gekar. He was in the under-19 team. He's an all-rounder. No idea. So whether he does the thing. And then you have got Ravindra Jadeja, who's like in beastly form. I remember that 1 over, he hit 36 runs in the last IPL to Harshal Patel, I think, right? From RCB. And moving over to anyone who wants to pick up on CSK.
Yeah, I think they did a really good business in the auction. The only downside to their team is that they will have to find people who cover up for Dhoni's batting. But I think their batting order is pretty good. Gaikwad last season, I think he had the orange cap. Conway has done well in every format for New Zealand. He was one of their best batsmen during the T20 World Cup as well. So I would expect him to do well. To Moeen Ali, again, great season for them last year. So I think they will do well. I'll be surprised if they finish outside the top 2 or 3 at the end of the league stage.
So I had a question for you guys. Like, how do you see their bowling, especially if Chair is not playing, let's say, half the season? I mean, don't you think their pace bowling looks a little thin right now?
It is thin, but I think if they have to, then they might just play 2 overseas pace bowlers because they do have a good contingent of Indian batsmen, right? I think Gaikwad, Jadeja, Ambati Raidu, and if they get Dhoni to get some runs as well, and Uthappa, who struck form at the end of last season, that's still a pretty decent batting lineup, even if they have to load up their bowling with overseas pacers.
Yep, I agree. I mean, this is one side that that might rely on overseas bowlers for to take care of the bowling department. Again, one thing to notice, and we'll note that about many teams as we go through the squads, is number of pure batsmen the teams are betting on, right? So there are just 4 pure batsmen here. Number of people in the all-rounder category. It's something that a lot of teams keep betting on. So they have a lot of all-round strength and a lot of domestic all-round strength. One player I think who would never ever get a game is Mitchell Santner, despite being a really good player with Ravi Jadeja in the side. I think he would barely ever get a game. So during the auction I was surprised why they even went after him. In terms of I think in terms of the squad composition, I think Conway and Moeen Ali should be their two overseas picks. I hear that Moeen Ali will not join at least for the first game, but as and when he's available, Conway and Moeen Ali should make up that side, and then they have to they have the choice of picking Adam Milne and Bravo most likely. But if Bravo is not available, then they would probably go for Jordan.
Yeah. So if we just try to make a rough 11, so I think it's an obvious thing that Ruturaj Gaikwad opens with Conway. We have 3 and 4 will be Uthappa and Ambati Raidu. At number 5,
Moeen Ali was at 3 for them last
sorry.
season.
So
I would expect him to be
Moeen Ali,
there.
Moeen Ali, yeah. Moeen Ali at 3, Ambati Raidu and Uthappa at 4 and 5, Ravindra Jadeja at 6, or maybe he bats up at 5, Dhoni at 7, and then we've already used 2 overseas batsmen. So overseas bowler, as you mentioned, like Bravo and say Adam Milne. So you have like 2 overseas bowlers. You have local bowlers. You need 1 spinner. I think you have.
No, I think Jadeja and Moeen will
Jadeja is
probably
already
be doing the spin duty.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Not sure if.
So
any
there
other-
again, like, so if you look at it, you have Shivam Dubey who can come in either, but he's not much of a bowler, a bit of a batting all-rounder. You have KM Asif, and you have, I think they have Tushar Deshpande as well. I think in like the
he's a quick,
border
right?
squad. Yeah. So Tushar Deshpande opens the bowling for Mumbai in Ranji Trophy. So he's one of them. They have like spin bowlers like Mahesh Thikshana. You have one more Indian local spinner is also something which I think is a problem. They have like a bowling all-rounder Bhagat Verma who's played some domestic cricket, but I think that is the worrying part, right? That who completes your overs. So because you have, yeah.
I think knowing Dhoni, he would actually like his team to bat really deep, and he would rely on picking a lot of all-rounders. So he would want to have 6 or 7 bowling options, and pick a lot of all-rounders and bat until 8 or 9 at least. That's, I mean, you could think that he might want to back Bhagat Verma and Shivam Dubey to bowl some of those overs as well.
Yeah.
Let's probably move on.
Yeah. So, Kolkata Knight Riders. Anyone who wants to take a pick on this team first?
I'll go probably. So just a quick thought. I think they have bet really big on Shreyas Iyer, right? So that's a big buy pickup for them in the auctions. And again, I think Finch has probably come in as a replacement. I'm forgetting for whom? For Morgan, right?
Alex Hales.
For Hales, right? And so I think Finch will definitely make the 11 now that he is in the squad, and he'll probably give good stability. Nitish Rana is a pretty good prospect, right? The interesting thing about Venkatesh Iyer is that he will be playing a different role for KKR than what he will be doing if he gets picked for India, right? He is going to probably open with Aaron Finch here, while in India he's competing more with Hardik for the number 6-7 slot. So that will be interesting. I think with KKR, as usual, the fitness of Andre Russell is always going to be a big talking point. So we don't know. I mean, I don't know how his fitness is. And again, I believe even Varun Chakravarti hasn't played in a while now. So his fitness is also a question mark. Otherwise, I think Tim Southee is a good, solid buy-in for them, especially for the games where Cummins will not be available. I think he'll do a good job as a backup. I think even Karuna Ratne is probably going to get a few games. For those who don't know, Sheldon Jackson is a Indian player, and so I'm not sure if he gets going to get a game, or is it's going to be Sam Billings? But yeah, I think it's a decent side in terms of, I think, 9 or 10 players. I think they will struggle a little bit in the late middle order. And again, it can all be made up how Russell and even Russell plays and how they utilize Sunil Narayan, because his batting can also be pretty destructive and win them a game or two.
So on this team, right? Like again, if you just try to make a rough 11, right? Like try with your first choice 11 would be so you have, as we mentioned, Venkatesh Iyer opening with Aaron Finch. You'll have Shreyas Iyer playing at 3 or 4. You'll have Nitish Rana, who's been there. So these kind of comprise the top 4. Then you have the all-rounder Andre Russell comes in at either 5 or 6. You have one overseas player who will be Sam Billings. He's got a great record as a wicketkeeper batsman, right? And so that makes it like the top 6. And then bowlers, you have Narayan. You have either Tim Southee or Pat Cummins, as was mentioned. And Varun Chakravarti, the mystery spinner. We have Umesh Yadav, maybe he comes in and he plays. And
Shivam Mavi will probably get a
and
game.
Shivam Mavi, one of the, like, you have these, I don't know if you'll follow Ranji Trophy, but Baba Indrajit and Baba Aprajit, they are twins who play for Tamil Nadu. So they were called as the War Brothers of Tamil Nadu long ago and was expected both would play for India. I think one of them played under 19 the same time as Washington Sundar. And they've kind of not delivered. Maybe this team, as we said, like there could be one slot. There is Rinku Singh as well, who's been around. He's been a traveling player in a few IPL teams. So that could be like a breakout season if they get a few games in a row. So that'll be interesting.
And even I think Anukul Roy has a chance to get picked.
Yes.
Anukul Roy is a specialist substitute fielder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a good strong arm.
That is how Mumbai Indians used him.
So I don't know if you know about the surprise package called Ramesh Kumar in this team. I was reading about him recently. He comes from the tennis ball circuit.
Okay, got it.
So he's from Punjab and he's a tennis ball star who made it into the leather ball game. He is known to be a left arm mystery spinner, a left arm version of Sunil Narayan, and he's known to be a big hitter. So I don't know how many people follow tennis ball cricket. There are very competitive tennis ball leagues in India, and there are at least in certain states, right? Players like Usman Patel and Krishna Satpute. If you look up their videos on YouTube, they have a lot of views and they have their own fan following. I think with IPL becoming one of the more prominent tournaments, the most prominent tournament, in fact. So all these players who start off playing tennis ball crickets have a realistic chance of making it big. Kedar Jadhav, for example, used to be a tennis ball cricket star once, right? So I hope if he ever gets a chance, Ramesh Kumar, he does well.
So let's go to the next team. So Delhi Capitals. So if I just start on this one, I think this team was a very strong team last, I think, 3 seasons. They've got a lot of, they had a very strong core. They lost obviously Shreyas Iyer, Ashwin, but they have with Rishabh Pant, one of my favorite cricketers, him and Jadeja. Those are the most entertaining cricketers to watch. So they have Rishabh Pant, and they also have Andries Nortje, who's injured, so might not be at least the start of the first half of the IPL. They've got Lungi Nagidi in the squad, but one of the things is in the auction, they were playing quite smart and bidding up players and not pulling out at the last moment and making some players expensive for others. But they kind of have been stuck with a battery of left arm seamers. You got Khalil Ahmed, Chetan Sakaria, and Mustafizur Rahman. So maybe the attack can look too one-dimensional. A lot of people have a left arm seamer for variety. So that is one. Second thing is Prithvi Shaw. He's been one batsman who's been like very frustrating. He's got a lot of talent. I think when bowling is like one level below the international level, he totally dominates and he can really attack and like get it going. And it'll be very interesting to watch him and David Warner open the batting. But like, yeah, so Prithvi Shaw has been like pretty frustrating as a fan. And you have Sarfaraz Khan, who has been making runs for fun in Ranji Trophy. And he scored like double hundreds and triple hundreds. But he's never really done well in the IPL, right? He's barely gotten few games, was in RCB earlier. So I don't know if he gets a chance. And then I don't think Yash Dhul, who's under 19 captain, gets a chance, but maybe some injuries or somewhere. So that is a pretty interesting team that way. Maybe on the bowling side, I'm a little bit disappointed. You've got Shardul Thakur and you've got battery of left arm seamers. You've got Praveen Dubey, the leggy. You've got Kuldeep Yadav, who's like completely dropped off. And you've got Akshar Patel and like Lalit Yadav, the all-rounders, right? So that'll be interesting. Anyone else wants to add, or we can like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just in terms of youngsters, and you called up, talked about Sarfaraz Khan. He's still a youngster. He's still 24, and one of the brightest talents at one point on the under 19 circuit in India as well. If you see this team has multiple generations of under 19 stars, right? So starting from Sarfaraz Khan and Rishabh Pant, both played in the 2016 under 19 World Cup team. That went till the finals. You have Prithvi Shaw, of course, who went all the way, led India in that tournament, and you obviously have Yash Dhul, right? So a lot of talent that came in through the Indian under 19 system. And Sarfaraz Khan, having played with Rishabh Pant on the under 19 circuit, maybe Rishabh Pant would trust his game more than a few others have in the past, right? I think he really deserves a full tournament.
Thoughts on Kuldeep? Like, do you think he's still capable of making a comeback to the Indian team, or you think it's very tough?
I think it's unlikely, and for Delhi, the bowling is a bit of a weakness considering the injuries. So Nokia was their best bowler last season, and if he's not available for a significant part of the season, then they will struggle. I also think it was ridiculous that they let go of Shreyas Iyer and chose to keep Prithvi Shaw. I mean, it's a lot easier to find opening batsmen. It's not as easy to find guys who can bat at 3, 4, 5, or 6. That's the tougher job in T20 cricket. So it was a bit surprising, and I think we will see a drop off from Delhi compared to the last two seasons where they finished in the top two, the league stage. I think this time they might sneak into the eliminator, but I don't know if they'll finish in the top two.
Yeah. So very quickly.
Also, do you think Akshar and Shardul are in the running for the Indian team, or they're also struggle given the competition?
Shardul might be. Akshar, I think. First of all, they won't be able to take too many spinners since it's in Australia. Shardul might make it because again he is more explosive than Akshar, and he's also a seam bowling all rounder.
Yeah. So basically you've got Prithvi Shaw, Warner opening. I think that is one obvious one. You've got
I think Mitchell Marsh probably bats 3.
Yeah, Mitchell Marsh.
But again, Marsh is not available at the start of the season.
At the start of the season. So actually, so for them, even Warner would not be available at the start of the season. Yeah. So that time you would have Tim Seifert, who's another wicketkeeper batsman, but he can open. Done that for New Zealand in T20. So you'll have that. 3 initially might be Mitchell. Later on will be Mitchell Marsh, but they'll have to fill that slot in with an Indian player. Pant walks in at 4. Rovman Powell could be at 4 or 5. He played the recent one-day internationals for West Indies in India. So I think that would be there. And so basically at number 6 is where Sarfaraz Khan might come in. Or maybe if Mitch Marsh is not playing and you have him earlier at 3. Bowling, that's like a problem. So I think every team has one. So spin bowling all-rounder Akshar Patel fits in. One seam bowling all-rounder Shardul Thakur fits in. So these are the obvious ones. So at like number 7 and 8. Then you get one spinner out of Praveen Dubey or Kuldeep Yadav. Both are like Praveen Dubey is a right arm leg spinner, Kuldeep Yadav left arm Chinaman. Or you get Lalit Yadav, who bowls a bit of off spin, right? So one of these three spinners would be in. And then quicks, Khalil Ahmed or Chetan Sakaria. I think you can only pick one of them. Mustafizur Rahman comes in. And other overseas fast bowler could be Lungi Nagidi, but he's been very expensive. So that's going to be an issue.
They got a really big downgrade, losing Rabada and Avesh Khan.
Rabada, Avesh Khan, Ashwin as well.
Ashwin. So I think that's where they've lost a bit of their quality.
Yeah, a lot of death bowling options also in terms of those three, right? Ashwin can also bowl at death. Rabada obviously bowled at death. This team, I mean, even if they go with Sakaria, Khalil, Thakur, whoever, right? All of them struggle to bowl solid overs at the death.
So Thakur is a middle overs bowler.
Mustafizur is their best candidate.
So Mustafizur maybe bowls at the death. Lungi Nagidi bowls a bit at the start. You have like Shardul Thakur bowls the hard overs in between. Yeah. And then if Mitchell Marsh can bowl, maybe he adds a bit, but like not at the death. So that is one thing I agree with Mahek that might struggle. But and again, there are 10 teams, right? So it's all the more tougher to make it to the top 4 versus 8. Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
So Mumbai Indians, I've been like a lifelong supporter. The first 3-4 seasons when they were crap, I was still supporting them. So being born and brought up in Mumbai, so that has been one thing. This time again, now they've had big losses as well. So you have a bit of an aging team as well. Kyron Pollard, absolute superstar earlier. Does he still have the firepower? Then you lost guys like Hardik Pandya, but who's not been bowling recently. You lost Trent Bolt, who was like a very good bowler, got you wickets up front. I think probably was the best power play bowler, probably. And then Bumrah bowled very well at the death. So they had those kind of bases covered, right? And you had Rahul Chahar, who bowled in the middle overs, nice leg spinner. He's also gone. They've gone back to Mayank Markande. So that is one thing. And so I think maybe the team, they've got a good top order. They bid a lot for Ishan Kishan. They lost Quinton de Kock. So they said, okay, like let's retain Ishan Kishan and he takes the de Kock role. And you've got a little bit of a hole, I would say like at that 5, 6, 7 region with an aging Pollard and maybe missing like the opening bowler who's going to take you wickets. So like Trent Bolt. But I think like I obviously expect them to be always a contender for the the championship winner. I think a lot is also of the leader. That's where like Dhoni is so good or Rohit Sharma is so good, is how they kind of bring out the best in the, the not obvious pick, the number 9th, 10th, 11th player in the team, right? And everyone in the squad, keep them motivated and keep them going. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Also, it would be very interesting to watch Tim David. I joked around in office to a lot of Singaporeans that there's a Singapore-born player who actually represents Singapore team as well in ICC tournaments, who's there. So let's see.
Yeah, a couple of call-outs, Nirav, from the auction itself. I found it really interesting that Mumbai never ever went after any of the quality proven spinners. So they have Murugan Ashwin and Mayank Markande. Murugan Ashwin at least was around in the last couple of IPL seasons. Markande, after making that one big season with MI, he was nowhere to be seen almost. So I don't know, and especially I hear the Pune pitch is supposed to turn a bit. So they might miss a trick on those pitches. I was actually really surprised that they were never bidding on or never going big on any spin bowling talent. One more player I would like to watch out for, Jaydev Unadkat. He has been a massive performer on the domestic circuit, and I think having the support of that Mumbai staff, right? Maybe that is the push he needs, and he obviously he talks about it all the time that he thinks he deserves to play for the Indian team. Whether he actually goes on to play for Indian team or not, that is secondary. But being at a team like Mumbai Indians, I think he can have a standout season and really perform well. Especially in the latter half of the season, if some of those pitches start tiring down, he has a very useful slow delivery, so he can start picking a lot of wickets then.
This definitely has to be like the most lackluster Mumbai side in at least 7-8 seasons, right?
Yeah.
For the first time, they look like all the other sides, right? It's not like 11 all-stars coming into play.
Yeah, but they did not just pick a team for this season,
This
right?
season.
They picked a team for the next 3 years, and they wanted to bank really big on fast bowlers. They like that is obvious. Riley Meredith, Tymal Mills. Tymal Mills also has a really useful slower ball. So they wanted all,
And
really,
Jofra for the next 2 seasons.
Jofra,
Next
of course, yeah. So they really wanted a really strong, and Arshad Khan, of course, right? He's also really handy fast bowler.
So yeah, so here I just want to think of like what the team structure would be. So earlier I would like to say like in Mumbai Indians there was no passenger in the team, right? Everyone, like even the uncapped players earlier, you looked at like
Surya used to be there,
Surya
three
Yadav, Ishan
uncapped
Kishan,
players,
and Rahul Chahar.
right?
As a key, so they had like 3 good. So
Yeah.
amongst the uncapped players, they had the best
Yeah.
available. So that time, when
Yeah.
Ishan Kishan. So I think that's the thing. This year there are a couple of like unknown faces. So again, trying to just think of like their best playing 11. I would think Rohit Sharma obviously and Ishan Kishan openers. Again, you've got like Ishan Kishan has to go the explosive route, and Rohit Sharma will play the more sheet anchor role. You have Surya Kumar Yadav, sure shot at number 3 or 4. Yeah. You have there is talks as like a specialist batsman, either Anmol Preet Singh or Tilak Verma. Tilak Verma is another under 19 player, right? Who's done very well even in the Ranji Trophy and like the list A, Syed Mushtaq Ali, etc. So there's a bit about him, but not sure if he makes it to the team. So him or Anmol Preet Singh, I think. So they come in at like 3 or 4 with Surya Kumar Yadav. 5, I would have Kyron Pollard. 6, Tim David. He bowls a bit of off spin between the two, like at 5 and 6. Maybe they can give you 1-2 overs each. If any other mainstream bowler has a off day, right? You have at like from 7 onwards. So obvious bowlers, you have straight away Jasprit Bumrah walks in. Between Timal Mills and Riley Meredith, they'll pick one, right? So you're one of those. Between Murugan Ashwin and Mayank Markande, you'd pick one. So maybe Murugan Ashwin, or depend on the form, how they bowl in the nets. So you've got 3 bowlers there. Jaydev Unadkat or Basil Thampi. Basil Thampi has had a couple of good seasons. He plays for Kerala in the Ranji. He's always been on the fringes. Jaydev Unadkat, if he really gets a whole season, or if Arshad Khan is the new package, right? So that is one. So you've got those, and Daniel Sams. He played for Delhi in the previous couple of seasons, didn't get all the games, but he's been a great player in the Big Bash. So he's another left arm bowler and a right-handed batsman. So I think Sams at 7. 8 would be like say Jaydev Unadkat, Jasprit Bumrah, one of Timal Mills and Meredith, and one of Ashwin and Markande. I think that kind of seems the team. Not sure about the other players. One player I'm pretty much sure he's just there to give like practice against other left-arm seam bowlers is Arjun Tendulkar. I don't see him playing a single game, sadly. And even in the Mumbai T20 league, like you have the TNPL and the Karnataka, he's not set the world on fire. He's got a couple of 20s, 30s, but a couple of wickets here and there. So one level below, you can't set the world on fire. I think probably it's a big name, but I think he's going to be warming the bench sitting next to the Ambanis.
On that high note, let's move on.
So Punjab Kings, anyone wants to go? Anyone is a big Prithvi Shaw fan?
Mahek is a big Punjab fan.
Is anybody a big Punjab fan? That's the question.
So I remember that one, the best one, when Prithvi Shaw had like a couple of heated arguments with Sehwag when he was the coach. Sehwag says, I don't comment on your choice of movies. Don't comment on the choice of my players. Anyways, let's take a stab.
I think
Punjab,
the team's quite decent here actually, right? So
Yeah.
they have Mayank, they brought in Shikhar Dhawan. Dhawan is probably like a KL Rahul replacement.
Yeah.
Johnny Bairstow will definitely play most of the games. I don't know if he's fully available.
He's
Then
not available for the start. Might miss the first 2 games, but he
Yeah.
will be available after that.
Livingston is again probably a good prospect to play, right? And then Shah Rukh Khan
Well,
bats at
I
5
think
or 6. Right?
There's one thing we need to say, that players who have done well in the BBL or the 100, it is not a given that they will do well in the IPL. Most of them end up not doing too well. And it's not that Livingston hasn't played the IPL. He has didn't do as well as he did in the 100. So I will have my doubts there. Bairstow, on the other hand, I think is a
proven.
quality. Yeah, he's a proven talent. The opening combination, I think they won't miss a beat from last season. Because, but the question is what will happen once Dhawan retires, because it's not like he's too young.
Do you
This
think
season it
Dhawan
should
is
still be fine.
still in the Indian team contention because he
No,
keeps
no,
getting
no.
games.
Dhawan,
No,
Dhawan probably
no.
with you have Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul. Then next in line, probably, I don't know, they need to have like a massive breakout season. Either Mayank Agarwal or Prithvi Shaw or
There's Ruturaj Gaikwad.
Gaikwad,
ahead
or
of
you
them.
have
Shubman Gill.
Shubman Gill. So I think
Yeah.
Dhawan falls behind all of these guys, right? So
Yeah, as you know,
Yeah.
Mahek was saying that we are not short of opening batting options. It's
It's
the
a
middle
middle order
order
which is
players
tough.
where there are a lot of
Yeah.
spots for grab. I think Livingstone, Mahek may add value even as he's become a better all rounder than he used to be. He bowls a mix of different sort
Leg
of
spin.
deliveries. So leg spin, off spin, and he would probably help with the matchups. In the middle over, especially if the pitches are slow. So maybe that is one dimension he has added as a pure batsman. Yes, he's sort of unproven in IPL, and I also subscribe to the same notion of not betting big on a player who hasn't proved himself in Indian conditions, right? So I would still reserve my judgment on Livingston, but one thing that Punjab has done, and it needs to be seen how they play their cricket now. Right, they have actually bet big on some big hitters, right? So Shah Rukh Khan as well, right? He's known to play those 15-20 ball innings only, right? So what sort of responsibility they will give Shah Rukh Khan, right? Another youngster Raj Bawa did really well in the under 19. So looks like a mature all rounder. I mean, listed as a bowler, but he can bat as well, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, they would again, in terms of bowling, they would rely on Rabada to some extent. Again, he's not available at the beginning of the tournament.
No, so I think Rabada is skipping the Bangladesh ODIs.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I
he
think
might
all
be
the South Africans who are in IPL.
The Bangladesh ODIs are anyway over. It's the Test series that.
Tashil. Yeah. So I think Rabada is skipping that. So yeah, like if we kind of think for again, like for most teams, opening batsman is what was the easy one, and they've all like kind of. So you got like Mayank Agarwal, Shikhar Dhawan, obvious openers. You have Johnny Bairstow, keeper batsman. So probably will be playing at least like the bulk of the season, if not the first 2 games. That time they have like this Prabh Simran Singh. He plays for Punjab, I think. So the state for Ranji Trophy. So those guys come in. Shah Rukh Khan at number 5 or 6. I think that's an obvious one. Bowling, you have Chahar and Rabada are obvious starters, right? Then Sandeep
Arshdeep
Sharma.
as well. Arshdeep is a definite
Yes,
in
Arshdeep.
the 11.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Arshdeep Singh is like another one who's like a left arm quick. Maybe a little better at the opening. Would not like be that great at the death, probably. We'll have to see. And so Arshdeep, Rahul Char, Rabada, that's just bowling core. Sandeep Sharma, he's been there around for a while, played a few seasons for Sunrisers. And so either Raj Bawa or Rishi Dhawan, who's like a traveling this thing. Again, IPL, he's played multiple teams, always been in the squad, played very few games. He's played a couple of ODIs for India, actually. And has got like a fantastic Ranji Trophy record, but not much. Raj Bawa in the Under-19 World Cup, he had a Kapil Dev kind of a tournament. He had 160 odd while batting. I think that's the highest by an Indian player in this thing. And he had a 5-wicket haul. So like 1983 World Cup, what Kapil did, won 175 and a 5-wicket haul. I think that, now again, that was Under-19. Not all of them kind of graduate to the higher level that well. So yeah, I think you would have between Rishi Dhawan and Raj Bawa, a seam bowling all-rounder. Maybe this one, Harpreet Brar, is a left-arm spinner and a batsman. I think he can hit as well. So one of these three, depending on the conditions. You have 4 bowlers, and then in batting, again, now the middle order, right? So we had Bairstow at 3, Liam Livingstone at 4. One hole at 5 and Shah Rukh Khan at 6, right?
I think they'll have to push
So
one of their
who bats in at
hitters
5?
up to 5, right? Either Harpreet or Shah Rukh.
Yes.
Someone has to step up. I think they have a big sort of gap there.
Yes. So they have a big gap there. There were a couple of like other previous Under-19 stars like Ishan Porel. Then you have Odin Smith from the West Indies. He's like another left arm quick. So one
Odin
of them
is a right arm move.
Sorry, right arm quick. Sorry.
Odin.
Yeah.
And a hard hitter, although I think he's going to disappoint with the bat if a team is going to count on his batting. He's basically a slogger, not really a batsman. And I think it'll be difficult for him to do well with the bat. But with this team, I think if their young Indian players come through, then they have a very high ceiling. But that's a gamble, right? Because they are still a very unknown quantity. So either they will have a really good season, finally make the playoffs after, I don't know, 8 years, or they will end up in the bottom 3 or 4.
Yeah. And like another player you have like a big surname is Bhanuka Rajpaksha. His uncle was the Prime Minister and the President of Sri Lanka, and all his like dad and uncles, they've all been in politics. So one representative of cricket. He's a hard-hitting batsman. I think a left-handed batsman, middle order. I don't know how he fits in, because if you have Johnny Bairstow,
he opens for Sri Lanka.
I think he's opened a couple of matches. I think a lot of ODIs he's played in the middle order. So when Johnny Bairstow is not there, or when if Liam Livingstone is not there, probably gets a game, because you've got Rabada as a foreign player. You've got
Rabada, Bairstow, Livingston are 3 who will almost
Sure.
who will play almost all the matches that they're available for.
Yes. So that leaves, either you go for Odin Smith or Nathan Ellis as like one overseas quick bowler, or you probably have Bhanuka Rajpaksha. So he was dropped from the team for fitness, I think. But like Sri Lankan politics and Sri Lankan cricket politics is like a funny thing. So can't be too sure about it. So let's move on. I think Bangalore resident Abhishek Paul should go for RCB.
Yes, I think the interesting thing is how few players are there on the screen, right? I don't know why they didn't pick up a few more towards the end of the auction. I think making Faf the captain was a pretty decent decision, given Kohli had kind of stepped down, right? so their batting is quite decent, I would say, with if Kohli fires after a while, right? So you have Maxwell finally coming good in IPL last season. You have Faf, you have Kohli. I think that's a good, strong core. I think they're betting big on Maipal Lomror this season, right? So that's from their batting. There will be a lot of pressure on Hasaranga to deliver. He's a big money buy. He's probably the internationals, right? So the only thing is we'll have to see how he does on maybe more, flat or batting friendly pitches, right? Whatever is the correct term these days. So uh, uh, yeah, I think their fast bowling is probably uh, also quite good in terms of Harshal and Siraj being the Indian contingent, right? Uh, Although again, there are some people questioning whether how does his slower balls and all that work out on these kind of pitches. So that will be interesting. DK will obviously be given a big important role in the middle or late order, right? So yeah, I think they're probably struggling a bit on the second spinner. Squad looks sort of decent, but maybe not so many options if things don't go wrong. Things go wrong in their main players. If someone is out of form or a couple of players are out of form, they'll struggle to rotate too much with this kind of a squad.
I think Kohli's form is a cause for concern. So last year, I think since his big 2016 season, last year he had his worst average and strike rate since then. So that's 17, 18, 19, 20. In the last 5 seasons, the last season was the worst that he had. And I don't know, it just seems that he has forgotten how to play spin for some reason. So if Kohli does not score more than 500 runs, I think it'll be difficult for them to be competitive in a 10-team league.
Yeah, I don't think RCB is finishing in the playoffs. Early call. I think they will rely heavily on Kohli's form and Maxwell's form. While Maxwell had a good season for them last year, but in IPL you never know which Maxwell is going to turn up, right? And he's I hear he's also getting married. So a lot of players, their form sometimes takes a tip right after marriage. I'm not taking a swipe at anyone in particular, but. So you never know which Maxwell is going to turn up, and there is a new captain as well. And while Faf is a very capable captain, but it will not be easy to just come into a new team and lead a new team while he's a through and through a CSK lad. In fact, I hear a lot
he has to score a lot of runs as well, since he'll be
score a lot
opening
of
the
runs.
batting.
Yeah. So I hear a lot of RCB fans speaking about Faf, and I don't think because they see him as somebody who's a CSK player and RCB and CSK, while it's not really a rivalry at IPL, but in general, Bangalore and Chennai is a rivalry, and they don't really like having Faf as their captain, right? So he will really have to win the fans over. So that's a challenge for him. I also am not sure who will open the batting with Faf. So that's also a question mark. Mahipal Lomror, yes, he'll really have to fire if this team has to do well. They are really relying on a few players to really fire to even have a decent season, not even a breakaway season. Otherwise, yeah, they could be very low on the table.
Yeah.
So there is talk that Anuj Rawat is the batting opening partner, right?
Yeah. He might most likely be another Delhi lad. I think he didn't play as much for Delhi because of Rishabh Pant, but known to be a hard hitter. So most likely yes, but unproven commodity is all I'm saying, right? A lot of people who haven't really fired at this level would need to come, and a lot of people whose form is under question. So a lot of things will have to just come together at the right time for many individuals for this team to do well.
Again, like just trying to make like the team, right? So as Abhishek mentioned, so Rawat opens with Faf du Plessis, probably Kohli at 3. Then at number 4, Mahipal Lomro, right? They've been betting big on him. Say Maxwell at 5, and then 6 could be
6 will be Dinesh Karthik.
Yes, so should be Dinesh Karthik, right? And now leaves for 5 bowlers. So you've got
I think Hasaranga, Siraj and Harshal are
Siraj,
Sure.
Harshal, Josh Hazelwood. So these should be the first pick quicks. Hasaranga will bat at 7 as well. He's a big hard-hitting batsman, as well as a nice leg spin bowler. So that kind of makes their 4 bowlers. So now the 5th bowler, can
I
it be
think they will-
Siddharth Kaul or
they-
like Karan Sharma?
They will
or-
pick Shabazz. I think
Shabazz
they will
Ahmed.
pick Shabazz.
you can bat as well. Right?
Yes, and so if you count their 4 overseas players, du Plessis, Maxwell, Josh Hazelwood, and Hasaranga. So I think this is what it is. Maybe Josh Hazelwood is not playing the ODIs versus Pakistan, so he should be there from the start. Otherwise, they could play Jason Behrendorff in place of him. So maybe. And David
Even
Willey,
David Willey is a decent option.
Decent
He's
option.
a better batsman than Behrendorff.
yes,
And he bowls at the death as well.
yes. So mixes it up like left arm seamer, more slower balls than So that could be interesting. RCB has been like one of the team packed with like stars. They are like Villiers and Kohli, and still couldn't win. So now let's see. Maybe it's with a weak team. Who knows? They might surprise. So
So
let's
the
move to-
another, how about this Rutherford? Like, does he get games and they don't pick any foreign quick, or because they have decent Indian faces?
So Sherfy
I
and
think with
Rutherford.
Lomro and Dinesh Karthik in the middle order, I don't know if there is space for Rutherford. I would any day prefer Josh Hazelwood as the 4th overseas player and have Shahbaz Ahmed do the bowling duties. I think he can do a good job.
So maybe when Glenn Maxwell is not there, the first 3 games or something, Sherfy and Rutherford walks in for that slot.
Yeah.
And well, if he does so well that he can't be dropped, then all the equations will have to change. So again, like Rajasthan Royals, another unloved team. I don't know how many Rajasthan Royal fans are there. But I think this time they've got like a decent team. If I were to say, see, like from like the stars in the last few seasons, right? They've got Devdutt Padikkal, very good opening batsman. You've got Trent Bolt, a very good opening bowler, right? So this kind of is like a very nice thing. Yuzvendra Chahal and Prasidh Krishna, they've done well in IPL for their respective teams earlier. So that is one. Ashwin, he bowls very well in the middle overs, keeps runs tight, gets a few wickets. And you got Sanju Samson and Josh Butler. So I think you've got...
This is like a squad which can rotate much more, right? Like they have many places where they have multiple options, I think.
Exactly. So I think they've got quite a decent team. I think Rajasthan Royals, because they did not have expensive players to retain, I think they've used their purse wisely to get a reasonably strong team, to be fair. As in Ashwin bowling in Indian conditions, full IPL, he's very familiar with the grounds as well. When he's familiar with the grounds, he's a much better bowler because he knows what kind of field setting to keep for his bowling and all the angles. So I think that is very interesting. You've got a couple of like all-rounders. So Jimmy Neesham, Daryl Mitchell. I think Jimmy Neesham can help like social media team of any team. He's like one of the funniest cricketer on Twitter, I think, right now. So that's a handy addition. I don't know whether he makes it to the playing 11 or no. So that is one thing. And so you've got like a couple of other players as well. Like mystery spinner, Cariappa. You've got Navdeep Saini, who's been on and off. He had a couple of good IPL seasons for RCB, but then kind of faded away. So yeah, if I were to think of the team, you've got Yashasvi Jaiswal, who's batted very well for Bombay in the opening with Prithvi Shaw, also another under 19 player. So I think
he opens with Joss, right?
yeah, so that's the thing. Like Devdutt Padikkal, Yashasvi Jaiswal, Josh Butler.
Yeah,
That
top
will
three.
be their top three in some order.
Yeah, so I think either Padikkal or Yashasvi Jaiswal would have to come at number 3, both being left-handers, and Butler opens with one of them. So I think that's the top 3. Sanju Samson walks in at 4.
They could actually have Butler in the middle order. That's what they did in the 2020 season. They opened with Ben Stokes towards the end of the season with Butler in the middle order. And Butler is the kind of batsman who can do well anywhere in the lineup.
Yeah.
While someone like Yashasvi Jaiswal and Padikkal, they're not really going to have much of an impact if they have to drop down the order.
Yeah.
So if I were the coach, I would actually open with Padikkal and Jaiswal. I mean, assuming both of them play. If both of them play, I would open with them, have Samson, and then Butler is how I would go.
Yeah. So yeah, these are the top 4. Yeah, definitely. Then you have at number 5, Riyan Parag, who's kind of been there forever. Very good fielder, bowls a bit of leg spin. Or Karun Nair. So Karun Nair has been like, I think only famous for the guy who scored a triple century and like barely played again, right? So that's a sad thing. So number 5 would be one of them.
So they'll go with Hetmeyer there, right? He had a really good season with Delhi last year.
Yeah, so I was thinking Hetmeyer at 5 or 6. Yeah, sorry.
Big
money
buy,
and then Riyan Parag at 6. That's a very good top batting lineup, and I think the bowling also with Chahal, Ashwin, Krishna, and Trent Bolt. That's 4 top class bowlers that you have. After that, you just need one more guy along with Riyan Parag to bowl the remaining overs, where Mitchell or Nisham, whoever they want, can fill in.
If you take Jimmy Nisham or Daryl Mitchell, I'm not sure on Indian conditions how good their bowling would be. Kind of flatter tracks, Wankhede being a smaller ground.
Actually, if Daryl Mitchell plays, he can also bat in the top 4, right?
Yeah.
So then they can kind of change the balance.
So otherwise, I was thinking either like you could get Obed McCoy, maybe. Or like you play the mystery spinner KC Cariappa and play like one lesser.
I think there is already Ashwin and Chahal.
No, they have to have a third seamer. They have to have a third seamer.
So bold Prasidh Krishna, that's obvious. So third seamer, Navdeep Saini or Nathan Coulter-Nile. I think so I think Coulter-Nile can be there if you want a stronger.
Coulter-Nile versus a Nisham is probably a trade-off they'll have to think.
Yes.
Nisham or Mitchell. So what do they want in their balance?
Right? So I think so Jimmy Nisham is a very good hard-hitting batsman in the lower order, and a decent medium pace bowler. It depends on Riyan Parag's bowling form as well. How much do they trust him? So that is there. Again, now this team is one team where Rajasthan Royals last few seasons always in the bottom 2-3, right? And maybe now with a much stronger side, they could kind of surprise. You got reserves. I think like if one batsman is not performing, maybe Karun Nair slots in. Then you got like Rassi van der Dusen, maybe he slots in. Jimmy Nisham, Daryl Mitchell, kind of like identical 2 players. So that is interesting. Reserve bowler like Navdeep Saini or like Cariappa if like either Ashwin or Chahal get injured. So it seems a more balanced squad, to be fair. It just sees, and like maybe Sanju Samson every season, he's had 1 or 2 like massively great innings, right? And a lot of like very average or low scores. So
he was a bit more consistent last season, compared to the ones before that. I actually think I would be surprised if they don't make the playoffs this time. and could even finish in the top 2 at the end of the league stage. But I definitely think they have the squad to finish in the top 4 for a change.
Yeah, one of my concerns with Rajasthan is their tail. They have a really long tail compared to some other teams. With Krishna, Bolt, and Chahal, all three likely playing all games. You are effectively, as soon as they are 7 down, you have a number 11 in the middle.
Yeah, like Ashwin batting at like 7 or 8 in a T20 game looks too high. So maybe that's why you need like a Jimmy Neesham. Otherwise, if Nathan Coulter-Nile plays,
All out.
Sorry, Rajesh. I think we lost you for 10 seconds again.
Oh, my bad. I don't know what's wrong with my internet connection. I was just saying that they have a long tail. If Chahal, Bolt, and Krishna all three play, and lack of an Indian bowling all-rounder or Indian batting all-rounder, strong all-rounder Indian sometimes may affect the balance of the squad. Otherwise, a better team than usual.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next one.
So Sunrisers, again now, this is one team which was like a very strong team earlier. Couple of years, like I think Warner had like the orange cap, and you had Khalil Ahmed, then you had Natarajan, and so all those bowlers who did very well went on to play for India as well. Bhuvneshwar Kumar was in great form. That time they did very well, and they've kind of withered off in the last few seasons. Here again, like now Warner gone, it's kind of a little bit of a surprise package. I think couple of things would be interesting is you've got Marco Jansen. He played a couple of games. He played the Test series versus India, so that'll be very interesting to watch. You have Washington Sundar, who kind of has been like, is he a bowler who can bat? He's a batsman who can bowl. Now in a weaker team, probably gets a more senior player role, so he should do well. Bhuvneshwar Kumar, I don't know, after all his injuries, can he actually deliver like one full season injury free and bowl well at the death? So I think there are a couple of questions there. And Natarajan, is he back from injury? So yeah, a lot of questions, but not too sure whether they have.
Is it correct that Samad and Umran were their retentions?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that would mean that they should probably be picking them in their 11, right?
And Abhishek Sharma as well. Abhishek Sharma,
Right. Yeah, so they really bet on the youth.
So
They did retain Abhishek. They did retain Abhishek Sharma.
Sorry,
They got him in the auction.
Yeah. Sorry, and at a decent price as well.
Yeah, I think Puran is going to be like a big player for them this season, especially with Warner not there, right? They will need his firepower.
I
they
think
finally have a good middle order batsman, something they've been lacking all these years.
Yeah, I think both Markram and Puran will grant this team some stability. I think while all the talk was about Warner and Rashid Khan not being available, I think this team did not do so badly at the auction. I am just a little concerned about both the fitness of Natarajan and Bhuvneshwar Kumar. If both are fully fit, they will make a formidable top two. Natarajan being really good at the death, Bhuvneshwar Kumar can really bowl well both at the top and at the death, and Umran Malik being the surprise package. So they can hurt a few teams there. Another team that hasn't really bet on a wicket taking spinner at all. Washington Sundar again is a player I really like, but again injury concerns with him as well. Another product of the under-19 system. They can potentially open the bowling with Markram and Washington Sundar if they want. Both are specialist power play spinners. I would want to see that happening in one of the games if possible.
Maybe later in the tournament when the pitches are
when they already knocked out. But no, it's true. It's true. As in, they've got maybe again, probably a few redundancies in there because they got too many Indian quicks, right? So you've got Natarajan, Bhuvneshwar Kumar.
Yeah, but given they are sort of injury prone, it makes sense also.
Absolutely.
Right? I think Karthik Tyagi I don't know. Like I was really impressed with him, whatever I saw of him
Yes.
last season or even before that. So
So yeah, Karthik.
and he's your fourth Indian seamer in the squad. So that shows that, I mean, obviously pace bowling is their key focus here in this team and not spin.
Yeah. So one again, like if you were to think about it, so Washington Sundar, Abhishek Sharma, they've retained. He's a left arm spin bowling all rounder. Then you've got like Shreyas Gopal, who's a decent leg spinner for Karnataka in the Ranji Trophy, right? In the longer form of the game. Now he's started off as a bowler and now he's becoming more a batsman who bowls a bit. So, and you've got like all these Marco Jansen, maybe I think he plays all their games, or hopefully, I don't know.
I think if they are playing three batsmen, right? Kane, Markram, and Puran, I guess Jansen is going to be a chance for playing a lot of the games as the fourth overseas player.
Yes. So, yeah, so we can try to see like what the team would be playing 11. So Williamson, Markram open. I think that probably is.
Or probably it could be Rahul Tripathi, right? With
Yes.
Markram.
Yeah. So Williamson at 3. You have so like the obvious slot. Abdul Samad plays the hitter role, like at number 5 or 6.
Yeah,
You
Puran
have
fits
Puran
in the top 4 as well.
Yeah, Puran comes in at 4. So like if we thought like Tripathi, Markram, Williamson, Puran at 4. Abdul Samad, maybe I would have him at 6. Sundar and Abhishek Sharma maybe fill in like 5 and 7. So you have like a couple of all-rounders around there. And then like say if Sundar and
Jansen is actually a pretty decent batsman.
Decent batsman as well, yeah. So Jansen at 8 maybe, or like he floats up somewhere. And
then you have like 3 quicks, right? Bhuvi,
Umran Malik,
Natarajan and Umran.
I think Bhuvi, Natarajan, maybe one of them play, or like Bhuvi, Natarajan, Karthik, out of the 3, 2 play. And Umran Malik, because they had retained him, he plays most of the games. So that should be it. If at all you have like need of a spinner,
I think
like
that's where they might struggle. They don't have the quality spinner to win them a game. Right?
Yeah. So maybe you have like Shreyas Gopal thrown into the mix. Jagdish Suchit, he's a left arm spinner, I think for Karnataka as well. So he is a decent bowler in all those KPL and all those kind of things. So he's got a decent record. So maybe one of these. So between Suchit and Shreyas Gopal, one of them slots in. But yeah, as in the team, I'm not super convinced of the balance. I think Priyam Garg has also been there for a while, but like he's like kind of like failed to deliver.
I mean their middle order is quite decent now. I don't think Priyam Garg gets in unless someone is unavailable.
Injured, yeah, absolutely.
I don't think he was playing too badly whenever I've seen him.
Yes.
It's just that he's not given you those bigger innings. Probably more of the 20s and 30s kind of scores got so far. Yeah, okay. Let's move to next one.
So yeah, these are the first of the 2 new teams. So Lucknow Super Giants, I think obviously the big one was they got KL Rahul as captain. So that was their steal. And you've got a lot of the decent players. You've got Jason Holder, who's a very good record for the West Indies. You took like marquee players from other teams, like Avesh Khan had a fantastic, was almost a purple cap. I think the second highest wicket taker last year, if not the highest. And you've got guys like Krunal Pandya, the all-rounder. You got Marcus Stoinis, who did very well for Delhi Daredevils. So that could be and Quinton de Kock right up there opening. So I think that seems to be quite a decent team. But see how they gel well together. This is like the first season playing together, and none of the core players were part of the same team earlier. So that'll be interesting.
So do you think so Rahul as the keeper batsman thing is over now, right? Even for India.
I think de Kock would keep, and Rahul would focus totally on the batting. Again, it's like very much like Mumbai Indians team, right? Rahul plays the paced, well-paced, so slower paced innings, and De Kock goes all explosive, and left hand, right hand. So yeah, that is very obvious. Ravi Bishnoi, I think he's quite a good leg spinner. So that would be interesting as well. And you've got, so I'm struggling to like try and place the full team in. So I think Holder is sure player. Avesh Khan is a sure player. Shahbaz Nadeem, the left arm spinner, maybe. Bishnoi surely.
Even Huda is probably a starter, right? He's playing games for India now. So.
I think Huda as well as Krunal Pandya will play for sure, which will be interesting. But they are definitely going to be there. Stoinis too. So Stoinis, Holder, De Kock are the three overseas players that will definitely play every game. Beyond that, I mean, the fourth one could be Evan Lewis, although I think they have a good top order. So maybe Chamira can be the one. He has good pace. So Chamira could be their fourth overseas guy. I think I quite like their first 11. I don't know how much backup they have, but if their first 11 plays to potential, I think they can finish around fourth or fifth is what I feel. And it also depends on which KL Rahul turns up, right? Is it the one who got neutered by Anil Kumble, or is it the one who will be emboldened by Gautam Gambhir, who has gone on record to say that he wants KL Rahul to play in a more uninhibited fashion?
Yeah, so Mahek, maybe you could take the lead on thinking what the playing 11, the first 11 could be. Yeah.
Rahul, De Kock, you open with them. You have Manish Pandey at 3, then Deepak Hooda at 4, Marcus Stoinis 5, Krunal Pandya 6, Jason Holder 7, and then whatever order it is, Bishnoi, Chamira, Avesh Khan, and then you have to find the 10th guy who can be. I mean, it can be K. Gautam as well.
Didn't Shahbaz Nadeem score 100 or a double 100?
177. Dude, that game was ridiculous. That is. Yeah, I mean, Amit Mishra has a Ranji double 100 that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, one of the things I think that Lucknow team did was, and I heard Gautam Gambhir during the auction as well, they tried to pick one of every kind of player. So they went after Krishnappa Gautam, Indian spin all-rounder. They wanted Jason Holder, an overseas bowling all-rounder. They have Indian fast bowlers, they have Indian spinners, they have Indian leg spinner. So they really tried to get all bases covered, and De Kock was probably the steal of the auction. Him being available in the auction, that itself was a big deal, and then getting him for that price was clearly the steal of the auction. So they are one team which would they don't seem to have one obvious department where they are lacking, right? So as Mahek said, they can come up with a formidable first 11. Manish Pandey, I would be looking forward to his form, even though he's not a big player. But for this team, his form would be crucial because he would most likely bat at a crucial number 3 spot. And with Gautam Gambhir being in the squad, I think Gautam Gambhir was the one captain who handled him really well and got the best out of him at KKR. So maybe he would understand his game and unshackle him and let him play the game he likes to play.
Yeah, I really like their middle order. There's hitting ability all the way from 4 to 7 or 8, right? Deepak Hooda at 4, Marcus Stoinis 5, and then Krunal Pandya, Jason Holder. So if Holder at 7, that's a pretty good batting lineup. And if you add K. Gautam after that, I think that's pretty deep.
Or Nadeem.
No, not Nadeem.
Yeah, but he may play a few games depending on if the pitches start to turn. Maybe he'll get one game somewhere and pick a couple of wickets.
Yeah. So also another good thing for basically what happens is Mumbai and Chennai, apart from playing all their teams, they play the strong. So the team number kind of 1 on each group plays the other team twice, right? Whereas like Lucknow Super Giants and Gujarat Titans, they play each other, which is kind of like a newer team, unknown quantity. So somewhat it's a little bit of an advantage, like one extra game versus like a MI or a CSK versus one extra game versus like a
So
relatively.
the MI CSK is a bad one for MI, not so much for CSK, because I think
MI is weaker.
CSK have brought their core back this time. I mean, aside from retaining 4 players, they also bought Uttappa, Deepak Chahar, and Bravo in the auction. So you essentially have, and Ambati Raidu. So 8 out of their 11 are anyway coming back from the title winning side. So I think it's a bad one for Mumbai, not so much for CSK because they're more settled while Mumbai aren't. And for Lucknow, I don't know. I mean, we don't know what the Gujarat Giants or will be like. It's anybody's guess because none of them have played
Titans,
together. Gujarat Titans. There's a
Lucknow
Gujarat Giants as well. No, Lucknow is Super Giants. Gujarat Giants is in Kabaddi.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now moving to the Gujarat Titans.
Yeah.
Best jersey in the league, I'm just saying.
Is it actually? I have no idea.
But yeah, it is. It's easily the best jersey in the history of the league. Forget about just the teams right now.
Is it the best jersey in the history of jerseys?
No.
The best jersey, New Jersey. So
मुझे लगा जर्सी काऊ वाला भी एक जोक हो जाएगा.
No. So apart from that, I think like this team, you can see like it has obviously chosen Hardik Pandya as the captain, and you've got Rahul Tewatia, who kind of was the surprise package, right? So you got like one kind of like batting all-rounder with a bit of medium pace. You got like another batting all-rounder with a bit of leg spin. So I think that is very interesting. And this team as well, right? Like because it's like an unknown quantity, it is a bit of a tough thing to say who the starting squad will be. You see, obviously, Rashid Khan walks into any team that he's part of, right? Similarly with like Shami, and you have guys like international players like Alzari Joseph. You had Jayant Yadav, who's played a few. You've got R. Sai Kishore. I think he's a decent spin bowler. I don't know if he makes it to this team, but that will be interesting. And David Miller and Shubman Gill. So I think we've got like a core of quite a good players. Not sure
how
all of them.
Any guesses what is Pandya's role going to be? Like, is he back to be bowling 4 overs?
He's bowling in the nets. I'm told he's bowling in the nets. So most likely he'll bowl in IPL. After becoming captain, every player performs or gives that extra bit. So maybe he was waiting to get that.
And I mean, for Gujarat to get him before the auction, they would have obviously spoken to him to find out if he's bowling fit or not. So if he doesn't bowl, then I think that's a huge loss for them. But the expectation should be that he will be bowling at least 2 overs a game.
The one thing, so I was just reading or in fact listening to Harsha on this team before I came for this podcast, and the scary thing for me there was that he suggested Vijay Shankar at 3 in his starting. Now that really scares me.
Yeah, really.
So this team is very bowling heavy and batting light, especially because now that Jason Roy has pulled out, I think they have a very good bowling lineup. Shami, Rashid, and Lockie Ferguson probably 3 like of the if you look at the top 3 bowlers across the 10 teams, I think this is up there with the best. Noor Ahmed, he is a mirror image of Rashid Khan. So if he gets a few games, who knows how he performs, but he could be interesting to watch as well. But their batting is just too shallow, and I think that will eventually cost them a place in the top 4.
Yeah, I mean Miller might play all games, and he hasn't been in top form in IPL for so many seasons. He struggles. He would struggle to get a game for most teams, so he would play all games. Vijay Shankar would most likely play all games. Saha might actually play a lot of the games, so that makes it a very flimsy batting lineup, I would say.
So I think
Yeah.
Wade also is probably going to get picked, right? I'm not sure at the top or is at number 5 or 6.
Yeah. So I
It,
think
it depends, right? If they pick three overseas bowlers, then they can only have one
David
out
Miller,
of Miller and Wade.
which will
So
be probably Miller,
all on current form, it might be Wade.
yeah.
right?
So
Yeah. So now this one again, like it's a bit tough to form the playing 11. So let's start with the bowling. I think that's the easier part, right? So
we'll start with we will reverse the order like Bradman did.
yeah,
So we'll
no,
start
so
with the
exactly. Yeah,
with the
start with the bowling.
bowlers.
So I
Yeah,
think as
we'll
I
play on
think
uncovered pitches.
Shami Ferguson and Rashid Khan walk in, right?
Yeah.
So those are the
Yeah.
obvious ones. This one, R. Sai Kishore, he's been quite a decent spin bowler. I think on the domestic circuit, he does quite well in
Yep.
the TNPL and all the Ranji and whatnot, right?
Yes, Sai Kishore again should play most games, if
Yeah,
not
so
all the
he's a
games.
left
Like
arm
they would
spinner,
allow.
right? And
Yeah, left arm spinner. Yeah,
so I
and he
think
can bowl at different stages of the game. He can actually bowl
he can
at
open
the
the
death and
bowling
middle of
and
both.
stuff,
Yeah,
right? So I think he kind of comes in. So your 4 bowling slots are done. Now, do you take like a overseas bowler like Alzari Joseph, or is there chance for like a Jayant Yadav, or Varun Aaron is there? I don't know.
No,
No,
Is
I
it
I
just
would I would go with
I think
Dominic Drakes. Dominic
no.
Drakes is a good all round option.
So
If they're looking at the fifth bowler, it can be a combination of Drakes and
Pandya.
Pandya and Tewatia to
yeah.
yeah.
bowl those overs.
So yeah, okay, Drakes, I don't know much about him. So okay, probably it's Drakes. And even Alzari Joseph, they want an all-and-out bowler instead of Loki Ferguson if Ferguson gets injured, right? So you
Yeah,
gotta
they may not be able to pick Drakes because I think they will want to pick both Miller and Wade. So that doesn't leave a spot for Drakes in
the
most
batting is
cases.
quite weak, right? So
Yeah,
yeah.
so they'll have to play Wade and Miller both in the top order.
And like so now if we try Shubman Gill should open. I don't know who opens with him.
I think Wade should open.
Saha.
Saha
Wade.
might open.
So okay, so maybe Saha or Wade to open.
I would not want Gill and Saha both to open, honestly, unless Saha is really prepared to just go berserk at the top, which he can, just go after every delivery and try to just. But given that their batting is weak, I don't know if they would have the license for anybody to play like that. So, but yeah, if Saha plays, he has to open. Like there are some players like that. If Rahane plays, he has to open. If Saha plays, he has to open. So, if they have to fit in Saha, he has to open. Yes.
Yes. So then you have I would say Miller slots in at like 4, Pandya at 5, Tewatia at 6, right? So you get that part.
And
And
you are leaving out the great Vijay Shankar at 3. So.
would Vijay Shankar be 3 or does he get a game?
Or I
That
think Pandya should just say that he'll bat 3 for the season, something like that. Like,
Could be. But Pandya is more like of those explosive. Also, like Pandya as a leader, a bit of an unproven quantity because he hasn't really led even the Baroda team in Ranji Trophy or the domestic Vijay Hazare or Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy. So I don't know how good is he as a tactician, as a leader to try and motivate all the other players. Maybe surprises us. Like I have no idea. But that is also very interesting. You have Rashid Khan, who's probably the best T20 bowler in your team, but like typically every team which has Rashid Khan barely ever wins. So that's also a sad thing.
yeah.
So now I think we've covered all the 10 teams. I think now probably let's see like kind of predictions from each one of us. Who's the winner? Who do you expect the best batsman, the orange cap, the best bowler, purple cap, and kind of like your bet for like a surprise pick, like one no one expects, or like an unknown player who you think might do very well. So I don't know. Let's start with Mahek.
Uh, so I won't predict a winner because once it gets into the playoffs, it's difficult. But I would say CSK are still the favorites to win the
Let's take
title.
it top two teams. Yeah.
I would say CSK and this is just after the league stage. CSK and I think either Rajasthan or Lucknow.
Okay. And yeah. So who do you think, like, probably best
So
batsman, best bowler?
orange cap, KL Rahul. That's always a safe pick. Uh, Purple cap, I think might be Jasprit Bumrah this time because he might have to go for wickets more than usual. He doesn't have too many wicket takers this time. So either him or Rashid Khan for the purple cap.
And any player you want?
Surprise! I think Hardik Pandya has a great season for Gujarat Titans.
Okay.
No,
Rajesh.
not a biased opinion at all, right?
I am not rooting for the Titans. I just want their jersey.
Yeah, so I think okay, I'll
My
pick my top.
my rooting interest in IPL is just to see Mumbai and Chennai lose. As long as that happens, I don't care who wins.
Yeah, I always want a new team to be the winner. So again, that's something I would hope. I hope both Chennai and Mumbai don't even make to the playoffs, and we have 4 new teams so that we are sure of having a new winner this time. Because if these two make it to the playoff, they will somehow find a way to win the tournament as well, right? So in terms of orange cap, I think KL Rahul again is a safe bet. I would also say one of the Indian openers, right? Mayank Agarwal. Even Shubman Gill, Prithvi Shaw, or any one of those gets it. I mean, all of them are like my kids, so I'll be happy for any of those, right? Ruturaj, even or actually, I would like for Shreyas Iyer to have a standout season, right? He has had a few good seasons. He has come back after injury, and it's very rare to see that a player comes back stronger. Actually, I think he's not just stronger as a player, but he has matured a bit the way he talks now. I think he gets the tempo of T20 game slightly better. He talks about we have KL Rahul who famously said that strike rate is overrated. I recently read Shubman Gill also saying something similar, that you can't play at the same tempo, and I read Shreyas Iyer saying that every ball you waste in T20 is a lost opportunity. So every dot ball. So I would say Shreyas Iyer gets that tempo better. And I'm hoping, even though he will not be an opener if he bats at 3 and gets enough opportunity, I really hope he's at least in the orange cap contention, right? Even, if I had to pick a overseas batsman, I think QDK, with, given that he's not playing test matches for South Africa, he would come back, he would be fresh, and I think he would be there to prove a point as well. So, and because I've picked both KL Rahul and QDK. So I'm actually backing Lucknow. No biases there as well.
No biases.
To go all the way. Again, just because I want a new team to win. Also, I'm again no biases, but I'm hoping Bishnoi gets the purple cap.
Okay, Bishnoi. And then who's your surprise player?
I think either SRH
If
or
Bishnoi gets the purple cap, then that's the surprise anyway, right?
No, I really like him as a bowler. I hope he plays for India someday.
Probably
He's already playing for India.
Yeah, I mean, becomes a regular player for India someday. So a very miniature, poor man's version of Rashid Khan. But I really hope he does well. And a surprise package, I would say.
He's anyway pretty good, and he doesn't bowl a leg spinner yet, right? So imagine how good he will be if he starts to spin it the way he's meant to.
I saw him bowling a few leg breaks, but yeah, definitely not his preferred choice. But yeah, I mean, just wanted to back a different leg spinner. I usually leg spinners pick a lot of wickets in IPL. So of course, Yuzvendra Chahal and others would also be in contention. And by the way, he was in contention for purple cap, right, a couple of seasons back. So not so much of a left field pick. And surprise facts in terms of teams, I'm nobody's backing Sunrisers actually. A lot of us have been talking about the turmoil the team has been through. Maybe I'm just thinking, I actually hear a lot of Hyderabad fans also. They were saying
All
in the
five
last
of them.
there are Hyderabad fans in Hyderabad, Mahek. So a lot of them. You go to David Warner's Instagram feed and you'll find a
Yeah,
hundred
yeah, yeah.
comments from Hyderabad fans anytime. Right? They were saying we don't care about the trophy, just retain David Warner. Right? So it's almost like when Ganguly was dropped from Kolkata. Right?
I think they could make the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if they finish in the top 4. I just
Yeah, I mean,
don't think they'll be in the top 2.
Yeah, there are two teams everybody wants to leave, Punjab and Hyderabad, right? So even Simon Katich, he came in as an assistant coach. He was there for 2 months and he said he has had enough of Hyderabad. So although the reason he cited was a bubble fatigue. So again, bubble fatigue has become the perennial excuse anybody gives to not turn up at an event. I'm hoping I can start using it as my office as well sometime soon. But anyhow, yeah. So like the talk about Hyderabad is in the press and among the fans is the politics. But maybe because they have a decent bunch of players, maybe they'll prove a few people wrong.
Abhishek.
Yeah, so I will go with. So before this podcast started, I was thinking of saying RCB, but looking at the squad in detail for 5 minutes, I think I lost all the little hope that I had. So I will go with RR and Lucknow as the top two picks for the during the league phase at least. Batsman, I will back Shreyas to be like the top scorer. Uh, Bowler, I'll go with Rashid Khan. And the surprise is like Vijay Shankar will finally become a true 3D player if he gets ample opportunities through the season. So let's see. The other more serious pick is like I'm curious to see if Washington Sundar actually becomes a sort of substantial, can't drop player. Right now he's sort of there in fits and starts, right? So especially on his batting side, he does have all the shots. Now it's question of his temperament and how he converts his talent. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, Vijay Shankar will have to become a 4D player. He'll have to transcend the fourth dimension of time as well. Go back in time to maybe 2018 or something and find some form first of all.
Yeah. So finally, for me, again, I just want to have all left field picks. So I think Rajasthan Royals, they would be a team which kind of does very well. And just for the sake of it, maybe so I'm always a Mumbai supporter. So that I would go by default. But otherwise, just out of surprise, I would say this Delhi Daredevils, so Delhi Capitals. So they've got Rishabh Pant. They've got, while their squad is weakened out a bit, I think if Prithvi Shaw has a breakout season, that could actually help. In terms of the highest scorer, maybe I think either Devdutt Padikkal or Ruturaj Gaikwad. So I think they have had they've got a nice batting slot, which kind of enables it. They are the more, you'd say, the long innings players. So probably if you just want to just look purely from a stats perspective, in terms of wicket takers, so typically I think the spinners like Rashid Khan, a lot of you all pick, he doesn't pick too many wickets because everybody has defense against him. So I would say it has to be a bowler who bowls at the death, where you just go for all your shots. So I would say maybe Bumrah or the one who picks wickets at the beginning, so Bolt. or maybe I'm just familiar with Mumbai bowlers. So I think one of them, kind of gets the purple cap. And in terms of like the surprise package, right? I have like two all-rounders I would like to see do very well. So one is Jason Holder, and one is Hasaranga. So Hasaranga has got a lot of pressure. He's got like RCB team, been paid a lot of money, but he's a good leg spin bowler. He took a hat trick in the recent World T20. He's a very nice power hitting batsman. I think he's got all the qualities to make like a multi-season, like a superstar player. So that will be interesting. So that's like the surprise player. And I hope like we've got a lot of these under 19 stars who've come and gone, like Shivam Mavi, Nagarkoti. You've had so a lot of these guys don't get a full season. I hope like a couple of these young guys lucky enough to get a full season and do well. There are a lot of people who might just warm up benches because they have too many players like them. Like, I think openers and left arm quicks, every team has backed too many of them. And as you said, like middle order players and like good spin bowlers, not that many. So yeah, let's see. Do we have any questions from viewers or any other things that you guys want to talk about? If not, I think then that's a wrap. I hope like this IPL season starting this weekend is like a great one.
So just one sort of question, like how do you feel the pitches will be during this IPL? Any predictions on that?
I think one thing is we'll see like a big change. See, only 4 grounds are holding all the league games, right? So Mumbai has 3 grounds. So Wankhede, which is a small stadium, slightly bigger one, D.Y. Patil, and then the one in Pune, right? So what you're having is you're having so many games in just 4 grounds. So the pitches will kind of deteriorate, become a lot more spin friendly towards the end of the season. So I think that is one trend which we will see, and we'll see some players who do well at the start of the season, some towards the end, right? Maybe the squad also shifts from seam bowling all round or a seamer to like a spinner. I think those shifts might happen. Similarly, in batting, middle order batsmen probably will do a bit better. So I think that is interesting to see. I think that's something. Any other thoughts or any thoughts where you kind of disagree with me? Rajesh or Mahek?
We did get one comment on YouTube saying, Finch is a very poor replacement for Hales. So probably an unhappy fan there. This team.
I want to know who this Alex Hales fan is.
I know. I don't honestly care for either Hales or Finch so much. I don't think either of them would have set IPL on fire. I might even be tempted to drop Finch and play an Indian player if I have to, pick rely on picking another player.
Yeah.
And so I think so like in terms of like cricket, right? We've had like 2 really dull series going on, right? So like England, West Indies Test cricket, and like Pakistan, Australia. That's where people like lost interest in Test cricket in the 90s, like 80s, 90s, and 2000s, with a lot of these boring draws. And you also have like a kind of boring series between South Africa and Bangladesh going on. And then India, Sri Lanka wasn't really exciting, but it was so one-sided. You got quick results, but like no competition. So I think we've had a lot of dull cricket. So for all of us cricket fans, it's been like really boring. So
real cricket starts now, Nirav.
Yes, exactly. Real cricket starts now. As much as like the purists might hate T20, I think T20 is what keeps the money in the game. T20 is what gets a lot of new fans, a lot of younger generation fans in, right? So
what's the protocol with the crowds? Will they be there fully or how is it?
I think 25% is what I heard last time.
And then probably during the tournament, if nothing goes wrong, they'll probably add the crowds as well, right?
Yeah, makes sense, I think, for now to do it, right? I mean, I don't know what better position we will get with COVID ever, right? This is
ever.
Yeah, I mean,
I
you
think
will
they're
always have
just
few
wary that
cases.
if anyone gets infected, and not that they'll be infected by the crowd, but if anyone gets infected, they will have to postpone
There's a
the
lot of
league
money at
again.
stake. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
and this
money at
time
stake.
there is an Asia Cup before the T20 World Cup, so they don't have as big a window.
Yeah.
So it might be harder for them. I think that's all it is, nothing more than that.
Yeah, yeah. And since we were speaking of flat wickets in Pakistan, do any of you? I'm sure you would remember Mark Taylor equaling Don Bradman's
Yeah.
record overnight and declaring. I was really hoping something like that would happen with Smith or somebody where they would
Yeah,
score 300
somehow
and just get
the
so bored that they would declare that these are not the pitches I want Bradman's record to be broken at. Right.
yes, today somehow I think Pakistan managed to collapse on their own, right?
They
Yeah.
collapsed even in the last game.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
the first innings before like
So
pulling.
now, I mean, there might be a result in this one, but again, that's what we thought for the last game, and
So
then
I think
Pakistan were batted forever.
so in like Test cricket, I think Nathan Lyons is not as good a bowler as his stats suggest. He's failed to bowl out teams in the
But
fourth
his
inning.
stats also don't suggest he's that great a bowler.
He's almost 400 wickets, right? He's got almost 400
But
wickets.
sure, but it's also come at an average of 32 or 33.
Yes, yes.
You have well compared to Ashwin, who has taken more wickets at a far
Yeah.
better average.
And he gets to bowl at England, imagine. So much at
Yeah,
England because they play an Ashes every 2 years. So,
yeah.
so he gets to bowl so much at England. That's
And the
a
weakest
big
player.
advantage for a spinner.
I think their second spinner was like if
Mitch
Lyon
Swepson.
is not
Swepson.
good, Swepson is like not even close to him, right? I think he barely picked up a wicket in so far
Ran
in
for
the
150
series.
in the fourth innings, right? So that's
Yeah, so
exactly. So yeah, we've deviated from the topic of IPL, but yeah, as series has been boring, and yeah, let's hope that IPL is great. A lot of good fun, a lot of good, more entertaining knocks. So and something great for all of us fans. Yeah. So I think that's a wrap. So thanks for tuning into Bharatvaarta. Please watch our episodes on IPL. We probably will do somewhere in the middle of the season as well. And also catch our episodes on other topics and the weeklies every Sunday. Signing off, this is your host, Nirav. And goodbye from all of us.